Welcome to the Think Generational Wealth Podcast, episode 28, and I'm your host, Amir Estimo. And today we have a great show for you today, as the show title is 5 Tips for Productivity in 2021. Once again, 5 tips of productivity in 2021. Now, we know that 2020 has been a rough year for some people, where some people have lost their job, lost family members, and what all the other issues that's been going on within the world. I think 2020 has been probably one of the weirdest years that I've experienced in my existence. And you're talking to a guy who's soon to be 38, and to know that 2020 in all my existence, this has probably been one of the weirdest years that I've experienced. There's been ups and there's been downs, where 2020, I had to have I had a shoulder surgery in the middle of the year. And then later on the year, my wife had surgery. But I mean, regardless of that, 2020 that's probably the least of the issues. But 2020, we paid off some debt. Me and my wife, we paid $10,000 worth of credit card debt that we have, because we are looking now to build wealth. And to do that, you got to pay down some debt. You got to get rid of some debt, bad debt, not good debt, bad debt. So we end up paying $10,000 of debt. So I think probably next episode, I'll probably give some tips on how we were able to do that. So that's been 2020 in a nutshell for us. We're still living. We're still above ground. So that's a good thing. But like I said, it's been a weird year. But I think 2021 is going to be a bounce back year. I don't know how confident everybody else is, but I'm pretty confident that 2021 is going to be a big year for a lot of people. So whether you believe it or not, the fact that you're still waking up every morning, you've already won half the battle. So just be focused. And these are 5 tips that I feel that's going to be a big thing that can increase your productivity in 2021. And these were 5 things that I've actually 5 tips that I've actually put into practice myself. So whether you take any of this, I can highly recommend. I'm a big reader. So there's some books with each tip that I recommend, that I advise, that I believe that I'm a big reader. So I'll attach a book to that too, that you can follow up on. So again, do me a favor. Go to that Apple. If you got an iPhone, look on that purple app, the podcast app. Please rate and review the podcast wherever you get it from, whether it's Spotify, Google, Spotify, Google. I just said that. Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts. I love feedback. It's only going to make me better. If there's something you want me to cover on the show, on the podcast, shoot me an email at thankgenwealth@gmail.com. Once again, thankgenwealth@gmail.com. So subscribe to the podcast if you love the content. But the fact that you're listening to this podcast today, you could be listening to anything in the world. But the fact that you're taking the time to listen to this podcast, I hope today's episode brings some value to you. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Now, 5 tips for productivity in 2021. The first one I give a tip or recommend, whatever, is time blocking. Now, this has helped me a lot. Time blocking has helped me with my goals. Right now, for me still being in the corporate structure and crossing over to entrepreneurship, it's not easy, because you got to be able to balance that and still your job, because your job is still doing whatever, paying your bills. And I'm using my current role not only for the experience, but also to fund my entrepreneurial dreams. So time blocking has been a big thing for me. It's really helped me, because it helped me put focus on the one thing that I need to worry about. So a book I recommend is The One Thing by Gary Keller. This book will have you focus on, it has you ask the questions, what is the one thing that if you were to do that would make anything else easier or unnecessary. By you doing that one thing, the one thing that you need to get done, that's going to move you from point A to B, by doing that will make everything else easier or unnecessary. So this book is good when it comes to putting that in perspective. I highly recommend this book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. Time blocking helps a lot because it helps you get focused on your day, that you're not just going through life. You have a plan in place, put into action, put that time block where it's 30 minutes, an hour, whether it's a book you're writing, whether it's a new skill you're learning. Like right now, I'm learning a new skill. I'm learning, I don't know if, I know this is a thing, generational wealth, but me right now, I'm in IT currently, and I'm learning new skill sets for my IT journey, because eventually I want to cross over and build my own analytics company. So by doing that, I'm learning new skill sets in IT, whether studying, going back, refreshing my coding skills, going back and learning a new skill like Python, a new programming language like that. This has really helped me because it's helped me increase my productivity. The second thing is creating good habits. So you got to be able to change the things that you're doing that's not successful to do things that are successful. One thing that I've had a bad habit of doing was waking up every morning. The first thing I did was grab my phone and start scrolling to social media. Instagram, I would literally hit all three platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, within the first hour. But then that didn't really help me with my productivity. You don't want to start your day looking at social media. So one book I recommend is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is probably one of the best books. And these books I recommend, let me tell you something. I read these books every year, beginning of the year, to set the tone for the year. And even though as crazy as 2020 was, I still didn't lose sight of my goals that I set for myself. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't accomplish all my goals, but I did change some habits. Instead of waking up in the morning, looking at social media, I would wake up and meditate, which brings me to my next point, which is Calm app. I discovered a Calm app. One of my credit card companies that I use, we currently get to use that. They had a promotion where you can use the Calm app for a whole year for free. And I have just been diving into that app like crazy. This app is probably, I don't know, there's a variety of apps, meditation app. If you're into meditation, I think meditation is good because it helps clear your mind. And then for me, someone who's, I'm not really good, like I struggle a little bit with anger at times, but this has really helped calm me down because they have so many things on there. I mean, I know some people, they use, they meditate. Some people use guided meditation. I think for me, who's never took meditation to heart, this has helped me a lot. This has helped me focus. It's helped me put things in perspective. It helped me come up with new ideas. I didn't start this new thing because when I started the guided meditation, when I started using this app, I started to get more focused than normal. And it's helped me learn how to meditate, learn how to focus. So I recommend meditation, this Calm app. Create good habits. You're going to have to create good habits anyways to be able to be more productive. So if your thing is waking up, scrolling through social media, you might want to start focusing on other things. If your thing is, focus on something, maybe whether it's watching TV, watching the news, whatever it is, get yourself more in tune to develop good habits. So Atomic Habits, I highly recommend. Meditation app, I know there's they have one called Headspace, so that's another good one. So you can check that out. I'm pretty sure you can find any type, but this is the one that works for me. So, And I think they do have a subscription. It's like $70 a year. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it brings good value. Now, I kind of skipped over, but the fourth tip is inner self. I think you got to work on your inner self to accomplish, to be more productive. You got to be able to have that belief that whatever goals you set for yourself for 2021, you're going to accomplish it. You can't go in there and be wishy-washy and just be like, oh, well, I think I'll do good. I think I can accomplish. You have to really believe. And if you're crossing over like me from corporate to entrepreneurship, you're going to need that, because you're going to have moments. And even now, I've already started experiencing. If I can share something, all of 2020 as an entrepreneur, I made probably $200 for the year. $200. I made nothing off this podcast. And for a while, I stopped doing the podcast, but I was actually starting to get more plays, which was kind of crazy, right? So, and I didn't drop a new episode for like 6 months. But I got inspired because even if it was 3 people, 4 people listening to the podcast, I can, if there's, let's say those 3 or 4 people are to consistently listen to every episode, it inspired me to be more consistent, to develop better habits. One thing about that book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, he mentioned was when he started, he was writing his articles or blog every single week, every Thursday, I think it was. It's been a while, but again, I'm going to read this book again. But I think it was every Thursday. He never missed a Thursday. So for 52 Thursdays in the year, he consistently wrote that article. Until now, it blew up. His book is probably one of the best New York Times seller, one of the most highly recommended books in the world. So that inspired me to say, you know what? If I want to, like, the podcast has nothing to do with money or anything like that. The podcast is because I really want to take that generational wealth to the next step, because we got to be able to build the foundation, because generational wealth starts, I believe it starts with me. So that's why one book I would recommend is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And one thing I think I learned from this book was there was a habit in there he covered, which was seek first to understand, then to be understood. So whenever you're having kids, or even kids, wife, marriage, whatever, you got to be able to listen. And it's helped me increase my listening skills. Instead of listening with the intent to reply, I listen now with the intent to understand. And then I give my response. Because a lot of us, sometimes someone is chit-chattering and whatnot, and we're not listening. We're just listening, like we're already processing in our mind what we're going to say. And I think this book, there's 7 habits. He covers each and every one of them. You can go and read. I'm just saying the one habit that really helped me, and I've put it into practice, and I've realized it's starting to help me in my relationships, is seek first to understand, then to be understood. So that's the inner self. You got to work on your inner self to accomplish your goals. 2020, we had 2020, we had all this going on, the COVID, all that's been said. But you can't let that derail you from your plans. So you got to stay focused, work on your inner self, and have belief. So I think this is a book I would highly recommend. Another is goal setting. Have you set goals? I know 2021, there's that reset. We're getting ready for another, hopefully, 365 days in the year. But when did you start making your goals? Did you start your goals a week ago? Or are you waiting until December 31st? Don't wait. Take action on your goals. Take action. Start focusing on those goals. Don't wait till the last minute and just wait till December 31st and then try to cram in all the goals. Because if you already see your goals, you visualize your goals in your mind and you set these goals, whether it's losing weight, whether it's learning new skills, or pushing your business forward, or working on your relationships. Don't wait till December 31st. But as this episode drops, this episode will drop New Year's Day. So I'm already telling everyone Happy New Year. But I'm already telling you this. If you have not set your goals for 2021, you have already lost half the battle. Get yourself in sync, take a moment, time block, an hour or two, and focus on what are you going to accomplish in 2021? What are you going to move yourself from point A to point B to point C? How are you going to get there? Goal setting. And one thing I started doing was I got myself the Best Self Journal. And you can go online, you can get a journal, however that works for you. But the Best Self Journal has helped me see my productivity each day. But I'll say this, one thing I struggled with was I kept on I would cram a whole bunch of stuff on the time blocking, and sometimes I wouldn't get to it. So what I've done now is say, okay, what is the one thing I know that needs to get done? If I do this today, that will make everything else easier or unnecessary. And I've added that. Then I say, okay, well, that I took care of this. What's this? That. And then I went on. And what I'm finding now is I'm finding more productivity getting stuff done versus just cramming and just saying, okay, 8 o'clock, I'm going to do this. 9 o'clock, I'm going to do this. 10 o'clock. And then nothing. And then I'm just behind, especially when you still have a corporate job you got to keep up with. It really derails you. So you have to be organized. And I've used this best self journal, and it's really helped me a lot. It's helped me get myself more organized. It's helped me say, okay, you know what? The next day, what do I need to accomplish the next day? And it's helped me set my days up for success. So that's something I recommend. But if you have something else that you do that works better, that's great. That's awesome. And I would probably work this too with the book 12-Week Year by Brian Moran. That book helps you plan. It helps you execute. It helps you set your goals, because you can get what it may take you a whole year to do. You can get done in 12 weeks. So I recommend that Bell Sub Journal and read the book 12-Week Year by Brian Moran. Now, a bonus, affirmation. That's something I didn't think much of. I can honestly say 2021 I didn't think much of. But I started reading the book, The Miracle Equation by Elrod. And he has an affirmation in there. He says that he says, I am committing unwavering faith that I'll accomplish whatever goal by whatever date. And I'll continue putting extraordinary effort no matter what. There is no other option. So if it's weight you're trying to lose, you can use the same affirmation. Affirmations help you with your focus and your goals. It helps you with your productivity. Because once you put it out to the universe then is saying, okay, or God or universe, whatever you believe in, then it's telling you, you got to go take action. But you have to affirm that you believe that if you do this, then this will happen. And it will not happen until affirmations has helped. It's helped me a lot, because I remember even for me, when I was learning coding skills back in the days, I use this affirmation. I use affirmation. But one thing I like about this is it's the commitment. Is I am committing unwavering faith, because you have to have faith that I will achieve this goal by such and such date. You have to have a date. And I will continue putting extraordinary effort. See? Effort. Extraordinary, which is action. You can't just say, well, I affirm I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, how are you going to be a millionaire? What are you going to do to be a millionaire? What are you going to give up to be a millionaire? Right? So you just can't put it out there, but you have to be committed. You have to have faith, and you have to put extraordinary effort. So read that book. That's a bonus for you guys. The Miracle Equation by Elrod. All right, folks. Hopefully this was value to you today. I had this is what the 5 tips that I see that if you use any of these, if you do this, you're going to have a stellar 2021. And my goal and my commitment to this podcast is to drop a podcast every Friday and do this 52 weeks. Because James Clear, again, in the book Atomic Habits, he did this it was the consistency. It was developing good habits. It was working on your inner self, meditating, goal setting, time blocking. You do these things, 2021, whatever is going on in the world, you cannot control what's outside, the extra outside stuff. You can't control that. You can only control the inner stuff, and that's you. Whatever's going on outside of the world, that's just what it is. But you have to believe. You have to be focused. You have to set your goals and go after them. I'm going to document my journey, and hopefully you can document yours and follow this podcast. And I would love to bring someone on this podcast and interview them and say, hey, what have you done this year, and see your journey. This podcast is a journey podcast. This podcast is to help think generational wealth, but you have to have the mindset. And I think if you don't have the mindset in place, you're going to be thrown off. You're going to be completely behind. So again, if you want to reach me, I'll share my contacts with you. Instagram, the Amir Estimo. Twitter, the Amir Estimo. You can hit me up on LinkedIn, Amir Estimo. You can search me on there. You can search me on Facebook, Amir Estimo. And also, you can send me an email, like I said earlier, thankgenwealth@gmail.com. So again, thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. You could have been doing anything in the world, but the fact that you're taking the time to listen to this podcast is much appreciated. Positive vibes your way. And for me, the generational wealth starts with me. All right. Thank you, and appreciate you guys and love you guys. Thank you.